So, you might remember this scene from Macbeth. This is Patrick Stewart in the 2010 version of a film adaptation of Macbeth. So quite recent. And you might remember he's looking at something he can't see. He can see something that we, the audience, can't see. And he's talking about this thing, and he's looking at it on his way to go and do something very important in the play. Here's Ian Mckellen, you might know from as Gandalf, doing this is in the late 70s, I think. He is Macbeth, and he's doing something very similar to Patrick Stewart Macbeth. He's looking at an object that he can see but we can't see. Do you remember what that is? And he's talking about it, and he doesn't look too happy. He doesn't look sad. I'm not sure what the expression is. Mystified, maybe. Let's look at something else. This is a chap called John Finch, and this is in the 1971 Roman Polanski film. So it's 40 years old now, this film. And here we watched a little bit of this. I think you can see what it is. It's a knife, and in this version of the film, we get to see the knife as well. Bit of special effect, and he's trying to grasp it, but he can't. He can't quite feel it. And here, of course, is the cartoon, and this brings us to our text. Is this a dagger which I see before me? So let's get the text up here. Ooh, where's it gone? Is this a dagger which I see before me? The handle toward my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. So let's just look at that first little bit. Is this a dagger which I see before me? He's obviously saying, is this a dagger which I see before me? It's fairly plain English. And its handle toward my hand, its handle's facing me. Come, let me clutch thee. Let me get you. Let me clutch thee. Let me take hold. Ooh, don't know what that's about. Let me take hold of you. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. This just means I don't have you, but I can still see you. I have thee not. It's just a bit of backwards English, really. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. So I've got you, but I haven't got you. So my eyes are fine, but not. I can't actually get you. So let's see what happens next. Art thou not, fatal vision, sensible to feeling as to sight? Or art thou but a dagger of the mind, a false creation, proceeding from the heat-oppressed brain? So this bit looks interesting. What's going on here? Well, art thou not, fatal vision? So he's talking to it, and he's saying, why can I see you, but I can't feel you? Sensible to feeling means I can feel you with my hand, with the sense of my hand. I can't feel you, but I can see you. So, art thou, are you, are you but a dagger of the mind? So a sort of imaginary dagger, a false creation, something that's just been made up, proceeding from the heat-oppressed brain. So something proceeds, it's coming from the heat-oppressed brain. So if something's heat-oppressed, it's hot, and it's oppressed, it's not very comfortable. So you can imagine if you've got a headache. So if you've got a really bad headache, you might start imagining things, and I think that's just what's happening here. And then he goes on. Let's see what happens next. I see thee yet, in form as palpable as this which now I draw. Ooh, that's exciting. I see thee yet, in form as palpable as this which now I draw. Well, palpable means real, really. Palpable. And he's saying, I see you you look as real You look as real as this one here in my hand, which now I draw. So this is actually a stage direction, a hidden stage direction for the actor, because at this point they know they've got to take out their own dagger. And if some of the films, you can see them doing that. I see thee yet in form as palpable as this, which now I draw. So the knife, the imaginary knife that I can see in front of me, it looks as real as this one that I've got here in my hand. And of course this is showing us, maybe it's two things. Maybe Macbeth has got this really powerful imagination, and perhaps he has. Maybe that's the problem in the first place with the witches and everything. Maybe he's really imagining everything, or maybe his imagination goes too far. And maybe it's also showing us that he's going mad, basically. He's going mad. So we'll see. So the next little bit. Thou marshallest me the way that I was going, and such an instrument I was to use. Right, now this, just to marshal, if you're a marshal, it means you're like a guide. So if something, he's talking to the knife, you, thou means you, let's put that in there. You show me, you guide me the way I was going. So it's like an arrow, and the knife does kind of look like that. And in this version, certainly you see the knife hovering and it starts moving towards King Duncan's bedroom where he's going to commit the terrible act. Thou marshallest me the way I was going, and such an instrument I was to use. That just means, and I was going to use a knife like that. Now the question is he is talking to the knife, and he's talking about the knife as well. So this is what we call a soliloquy. I'll try and spell this right. Soliloquy. And a soliloquy, put it in brackets because it's not actually in the text, is a dramatic function. It's where basically your actor on the stage, your character, speaks to themselves. But of course they're not really just speaking to themselves, because we're in a theatre or we're at the cinema. There's an audience. So they're talking just to the audience. But the audience, you've got to kind of imagine, are they talking directly to you? Are they talking inside their head? What's going on here? Close those. So yeah, this kind of gives us that clue that he's talking to the knife, but really it's the audience and himself that he's talking to. So, where are we up to? Here we go. Mine eyes are made the fools of the other senses. Well, this "are" is just short for of, and this "th" is short for the. So we could put them in square brackets there, of the, to make it a bit easier to read. Mine eyes are made the fools of the other senses, or else worth all the rest. Mine eyes are made the fools of the other senses, or else worth all the rest. And here I think he's saying that my eyes, they can see this knife, but my other senses, I can't smell it, I can't touch it, I can't, they're all useless compared to my eyes. My eyes are making fools of them. And then, or else worth all the rest. So, or they're more powerful than all the rest put together. Okay, so again, this is just confirming that he can't touch the knife. I see thee still, and on thy blade and dudgeon gouts of blood, which was not so before. Another stage instruction, perhaps, and certainly in the Patrick Stewart adaptation of this, you see him wiping his fingers along the imaginary knife at this point, because he's getting these gouts of blood, and I think gouts just means, let's move this out of the way, I think gouts just means drops or splodges, gouts of blood, let's say drops of blood. The word gout is quite good, isn't it? I quite like that word, a gout of blood, and which was not so before. So there wasn't blood, but now there is. So again, this is happening in time. We are moving and things are changing. And again, he's describing that to us because as the audience, we can't see it unless you're watching this version, or this version where you can see the knife, of course. So let's carry on. There's no such thing. It is the bloody business which informs thus to mine eyes. There's no such thing. So it's a bit like, imagine we were in the class, in Moore class, and Thomas brings in some crazy magic trick where he's got, I don't know, it looks like he's got a nail stuck through his hand, and we're like, oh no, there's no such thing, no, it's just magic, or it's just made up. It's just the same here. There's Macbeth saying to himself, or saying to the audience perhaps, or saying to the knife itself, nope, you do not exist. I do not believe it does not exist. And then what's he say next? It is the bloody business which informs thus to mine eyes. It is the bloody business. So the bloody business is talking about what he's about to do, and you might remember what it is. He's going to go and murder King Duncan. Why is he murdering King Duncan? Because his wife has told him to. Why has his wife told him to? Because the witches have prophesied that he is going to become the king. And, unlike his friend Banquo, who is very suspicious of this kind of superstition, Macbeth seems to take it quite seriously, and he becomes power mad, and he thinks, yeah, I could become king. And then his wife gets in on the act, and then between them they manage to convince him to murder the king. So he's on the way to murder the king, and this just reminds us of that. And he's saying it's this bloody business. Physically, blood. It's not that he's swearing, saying bloody. He's talking descriptively. It's an adjective to describe the business of murder. And it's a bloody business, obviously, because there's going to get blood everywhere. And it informs thus to mine eyes. So the murder he's about to commit is making this apparition, this ghostly knife, appear. So the murder is kind of getting inside his brain, almost, which is perhaps what you'd expect. Now this next bit I'm going to kind of glide over fairly quickly,